listening to somebody new, talking about singing and playing for you. Won't you cuddle up with me under these cold covers? Music for your brain.
So it was like a safety hazard. Rapper.
Is that safer
Or just more likely to fling
Yeah,
it.
more
Like
likely-
flying it around.
I don't know if that's safer.
I'll unhinge mine. It's a good point.
Are we rolling?
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sorry I'm
shit.
gonna hog this like
Oh, you're good.
stool bit.
You're good, man. You were injured.
Yeah.
Bum knee boy.
That's recording right now?
Yes, it is.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're on.
We're on.
Cold covers. Music for your brain.
That was him. The intro was
You
the
made
intro
that.
song?
You made that
Yeah.
intro song.
It
Yeah.
was just like some goofy thing.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that was pretty spot on. Energy. Yeah.
We tried to make it like super jokey. Like I think the inspiration was like Andy Dwyer and Parks and Rec. Just trying to make like singing
Like-
about, talking about, singing about thing.
Yeah.
It's like a
never
really
seen
dumb,
Parks and
jokey
Rec.
intro song.
Parks and Rec is the shit.
They
And
took it
then
off
I-
Netflix, I heard.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Why?
Unfortunate. You can't ask me.
I like that.
Oh,
that
just
Office
money
was my
reasons. I
favorite.
thought they got canceled like everyone
Or maybe
else.
they're trying to just like.
I figured someone got like a charge on them or something.
Oh god.
Someone drew a charge.
That'll happen.
Fucking just-
That'll happen, dude.
Yeah.
Happens a lot nowadays.
Oh man.
Yeah, all right. So we're here with Mass Dopamine,
Yes. The one member of Mass Dopamine, shall we say?
the head member, the founding member of Mass
founding
Dopamine.
father.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first time we've had a band on here that I didn't like discover myself, I guess, or naturally. So you were suggested to us by Jesus from Pink Frosty,
Yes.
who was episode 2.
That was episode 2.
Yeah. So shout out
Good.
Jesus.
Shout out Jesus.
He's the man.
You
But
the man.
yeah, he hit me up and he was like, "Yo, you should definitely have this band on." Like, I believe in him, you know. And I was like, "Oh, okay, heard that before." So I checked him out,
Oh,
and I was immediately just like turned on by the songwriting and like the authenticity of it. I think the first one I heard was, what was it? 24 hours?
20 hours.
20 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the first one I heard, and then you.
Yeah. 20
And I was like,
hours and
yeah, okay,
you were
this
great.
band is legit. Like, actually
Smacking cock.
making real stuff.
Why, thank
But
you.
yeah, it was like super authentic and just like songwriting for days, like
days.
raw, I would say,
Yeah, I would
But-
say Rob.
but definitely like insane potential, which is what I look for. I just look for like people who I believe in what they're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Hey, well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's no veil in your music. That's pretty raw and to the point.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do like
That's what I like it.
I record it right over there, so it's like I don't go to like big studios or anything. Like there's not much undampening of like energies. I've recorded before, like I mentioned to you guys before the cameras turned on. I used to play in a band called the Sphinxes, and we had that produced by a great mixer that I know, a homie of mine, Campbell McKenzie. And he did a great job recording the songs and making them sound very like crystal clear and everything, but it was like poppy and it was very spacey and like things like that, and it took away a lot of from like the natural energy that exists when we make music like just in a person. So I wanted to capture a lot of that energy in the recordings, so it sounds like you're actually listening to a person expressing themselves as opposed to just like an idealistic version or like a very perfect version or something like that.
So when you say poppy, do you mean like, was he introducing his own ideas into the music, or was it more just the quality?
That is something that he did do, not like without our respected consent, because he did make it kind of spacey and like all of these things. One of my quarrels with the old band that we did was when we did record it, it was so like perfect and sharp and things like how it was. I mean, you can hear it on Spotify underneath the Sphinxes. But that really couldn't happen in a live setting, and I didn't want people to hear something that they couldn't at least roughly get quality or structure wise. So it was, yeah, he wasn't adding in parts per se, but the sonic signature that he left on there was definitely like almost polar opposite of what I would have done. And considering the fact that I like wrote those songs, I kind of took it like in a way where like I the band ended up breaking up after that because they were about that kind of stuff, which is fine. Like everyone has their own musical wants and needs, and everyone should go and do what they want to do. But you know, if there's 5 members of a band that need to go separate ways, you break up, and
All too often. Yeah.
all too often it happens. Luckily, right now, Mass Dopamine. See, the thing that I did with Mass Dopamine was I recorded pretty much all of Archetypes, and then myself, and I recorded pretty much all. I recorded Archetypes all myself, and Archetypes is the album that's on Bandcamp. The You in 20 Hours were remakes from the album on Bandcamp, and I put them on Spotify. But I recorded everything the way that I wanted it to like sound and have structure wise, and then I showed them the demos, and then they wrote what they wanted to do. And like if you come to our live shows, you'll hear that, you know, they do different things than what I recorded, but it's still in the mindset of the song, and the song is still there. So it's
For sure.
How many songs are on Archetypes?
9.
9. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
9
kind of
songs.
like your principal belief and like your direction of where you want to go.
Yeah,
is
that is
embedded in
definitely the holy grail of Mass Dopamine right now.
Gotcha.
And there's
What made you want to do that 9-song album? Like, what spurred that change in direction?
well, it happened. I guess I've always been kind of trying to do the same thing. It's just you learn more and more on how to do what you want to do the further you embark on a journey. So it's like I started out playing what I could just to get, like I started out with the Sphinxes playing literally like jam band music. I wrote those songs and they're on SoundCloud because I the first place I ever posted on was SoundCloud, and under this name called N-A, which is like not applicable or whatever. I felt like it was like, oh, I'm not applicable, but I'll be, you know, feel me? So on SoundCloud under NA, you can still, there's songs on there where it's like those, you can hear like fun. So fun for funds
For funds.
was one of the first songs that I showed the Sphinxes, and that was a song I wrote a long time ago. It turned into like a super jammy song as well as all the other songs that I showed them. So it was very jam bandy. I didn't want to do that though, so we ended up breaking the band because they didn't want to stray away from something that was more along the lines of what I wanted to do, which is fine. So we broke up, and then Mass Dopamine, I kind of really was like, all right, because one of the problems was they'd be like, all right, Bradley, then what the fuck do you want to do? They'd be like, if you don't want to do this, then what do you want to do? And I'd be like, I don't know,
That's
but
always
it's
the question.
not, but it's not this. It's like, So after I got the freedom from like practicing on a regular schedule with other people, and I just was sitting around by myself, I really started like thinking about like, okay, what is it that I want to do? And I realized that I wanted to use like pretty basic organic instruments. I started like listening to like, obviously everyone knows Nirvana, but like I started really listening to like their old recordings, like some of the earliest recordings that are on YouTube available of like videos and the way they thought and like interviews. And same thing with like the Smashing Pumpkins. I really got into them for a second. And the White Stripes came right after that. But in between like the Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana and White Stripes, I wrote this album called Entity Green, which was the first album that Mass Dopamine did, which was like thoroughly grunge. It was also right after one of my ex-girlfriends broke up with me, so I had like
Some angry music.
yes, and so I was like, and
When was that? Like, how long ago was
That
that?
grunge sound.
I guess Entity Green was released probably right. It hasn't really even been that long since I wrote that music. Like we were just performing.
Yeah, 'cause
Mass
you really
Dopamine
took it
only
on.
started in 2020.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I knew that.
So literally probably right at the beginning of January, February, March, probably around like March or April is when we actually got in the studio. We recorded at Jesus' house.
Oh, cool.
Jesus'
okay.
old house.
Shit, yeah.
Before he moved, because he just moved, I don't know.
Pink Frosty Productions.
Pink Frosty Productions, baby. And he recorded Entity Green really well. There's certain songs on there that I left from the way Jesus recorded them. And then there's certain songs that I recorded them here in the basement. I don't remember which ones those were, but so I wrote those grunge musics and we performed them for a minute and it went hard, and we performed mainly live in front of like rap audiences at like rap showcases
That's interesting.
and hip hop showcases. And it kind of went always really well. Everyone really always fucked with it. It was always very surprising and like sobering for it to happen, because they'd be like backing tracks and one person up on stage fucking it up, you know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
blah blah, and then you'd see like 2 white dudes, because obviously this is like a majoritively like darker skinned audience, culture, everyone there, like we were very commonly one of the only, if not few, like white people there, lighter skinned people, whatever. So we'd come up on stage with our guitar and bass, and they'd be like, "What the fuck is about to happen?" And then we'd hit them with like this like really confronting like heavy music. That's also like, because I'm not too into just like ba-dum-ba-dum, 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 bam, ba-dum-ba-dum, 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 bam. Like I tried to make it still musical, the heavier music.
Yeah.
Which it was. We played this song "Abrasions in the Sand" for like the first couple shows, which is on Entity Green, and it went well. But then when the band broke up and everything like that, and time went by, the energy stopped being so like angry and this kind of stuff. And like my mom didn't even like listening to the music. It's intense. It's not really something that's suited for like everyday listening. So I kind of tried to write multiple songs that were more everyday associatable, so that people, because obviously like I've had songs in my life that I listened to throughout school that like help me continue going on. You know what I mean? That's what music is really powerful in that way. It can help.
For sure.
It could save your life. It could keep you going. It could make you happy when you're sad. All these things. So I wanted to write music like that, not just music that was like, I don't know, whatever the fuck the grunge music was, which was still good music. Because to be quite frank, that music can really help somebody get out of like somebody, like if somebody going through some really heavy shit, they could listen to that and be like, yes, I feel it. I'm expressing myself. I feel it. They did a good job, which we did. But it's like I said, not suitable for every day going about driving to work and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get into that. Like, since you are probably the like newest, like our earliest in your process band that we've had on this podcast, like the reasons why you are making music, like a lot of people, they'll do it to express themselves, you know, and which sounds like the grunge stuff was. It was just like you getting out emotion.
Yeah.
And then there's other reasons of like trying to bring people together or trying to connect with other people, which is what it sounds like you're trying to do now. It's like an evolution in like
mindset,
your reasoning, or like, like your decision to go into music, which is interesting. Like, because that's going to evolve even further still, like as you keep going.
Yeah, it's definitely, I don't, that's why when you were saying like this is like the principal sound or something like that, like I couldn't even comfortably say that just because of how we've jumped around genres so much. And when I say we, it's literally like, I hate to sound like that, but I literally write like every single one of these songs, and it's something I like take, you know, pride in, because they're good songs and I feel like they're good and I wrote them. So it's like, yeah, I wrote them. Why would I not say that? But I also give credit where credit's due. Like with the live performances with my band, I wouldn't be able to go sound like a band without a band there. You feel me? So it's like, it's respect given both ways. But they are also aware that like I write these songs, and like until we all start writing stuff, like there's one song that we actually just wrote together that happened with all of us in the room, or not even all of us, it was me and my drummer. And so that song, it's not just me that's written it, but the songs that are, I wrote them.
Yeah.
And they're also scattered and stuff that I don't really see myself staying in too much of a box, but ideologically I'm always going to probably be using like organic instruments like this, like acoustic guitars, electric guitars, always some distortion in there. I'm like a really big fan of the Strokes, so
We can tell.
I was gonna say
Really.
you especially sounds like the
very
Strokes.
Strokesy, yeah.
Yeah. The vocal
Your
melodies
vocal-
and
yeah,
like
your vocal.
choices are very Strokesy.
Yeah,
It's kind of a crooner. You got a little crooner in you.
what is that?
Or
current?
old Strokes. I mean, the new
like
album
Killers,
sucks.
Oh,
Strokes,
yeah.
that kind of.
Yeah.
The Nationals, a crooner.
I do
Yeah.
fucks with that. I do always fucks with that. Like I used to sing like Frank Sinatra songs
Yeah.
at like at like covers and stuff at
Coming from the diaphragm.
open mics.
I mean,
Oh.
it allows the songs to build in a very unique way. Like in 20 hours, I feel like when you listen to that song, I mean, the parts of the song are really phases. They're not sections, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Like, I was like, what's the chorus in the song? I was like, oh, wait, there's really not a chorus in the song. It's really just like a build and momentum, a momentum shift.
Yeah,
So it's like 4 of them.
It's like a story. You know
And I
what
think that with that type of singing on top of it really is made for that sort of structuring.
that's cool.
I like it.
I appreciate
Gives
that.
that nice build, like shaky build.
Yeah, it is.
Grand.
I do generally do that, and I have noticed that as well. That I literally barely ever use choruses, which is kind of unfortunate to a popular stance
Yeah.
degree.
I mean, there is a chorus in
Not,
it.
I mean,
You know.
not necessarily, because like
It
if
only
you
hits
can't-
one time. You can tell
Yeah,
that it's a
you
chorus
can
because
tell.
like it builds up to that point.
Yeah.
But it's not, the choruses don't repeat. There's like
Yeah.
no chorus that repeats, except in one song that I wrote over here. But there's no choruses, which is I don't intentionally do that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just write the song and then I'm like, the song sounds good, and then I'm like, oh, there's no chorus, and I'm like, but it sounds good. So
Yeah, it's stream of consciousness.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel
Stream
like
of
there's
consciousness,
so
yeah.
many bands out there that just rely on, the hit chorus, that
The
hook
formula.
chorus.
Yeah.
That, it's that classic formula that,
Yeah.
verse chorus, out of a
yeah,
bridge
that,
in there.
most musicians have done at least,
Forever.
at least started out with you forever. So,
Yeah. It's nice if you can't pinpoint something as like a verse or chorus or a transition or like a bridge or something, and if it just flows, that speaks to the songwriting of the person who made it, because it's like it just is what it is. It's a song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're like consciously thinking, oh, here comes the chorus again, then it takes you out of the mindset
verse.
and like the energy that the person's trying to bring to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah, I
It
think
breaks
so,
that
yeah.
fourth wall.
Well,
It's like, oh, they made this like at this point, like
for
you know
a
what I mean?
reason.
Well, you know how you could like listen to a song you've never heard before and just be able to predict,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
what's gonna, what chord's gonna come next or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
It makes things a little less interesting.
it
I
does.
mean, a song is a it's a monologue, but it really is a dialogue between you and the listener.
Yeah.
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 And like, if you're trying to take your songs out of the flow of like how you would naturally talk or how you would naturally
Explain
get something, it becomes fake
It does.
because you're just like fitting something into a scheme instead of
there's
just
different
talking.
crafting. Okay, so like, listen, you look at like the new Tame Impala record, the Slow Rush that just came out. You guys been listening to that?
Yeah.
I listened to it.
Dude, that shit smacks. First of all, I was listening. You guys did you hear Suffocate on Spotify?
Yeah.
It's a new song, so that song is like pretty dancey.
It's got a little more production in it, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's definitely
like you
got
can
more-
tell it's like
Should I get closer?
more. Did you add stuff in post? Like,
No, that was
Okay.
no, it's just I made it more dancey. That's
the
what
drums
it is.
seem cleaner.
They do cleaner. So the recording on 20 hours, ironically enough, the snare drum that I recorded it, there was no snare on it. So it was just a higher pitched, almost
Really?
like a tom.
Cool.
But when
tell
I
that.
added that snare drum into the Suffocate, there was snare in 20 hours. Possibly 20 hours and you could have both been, no, you had a snare drum that was snary. 20 hours didn't have a really heavy snare drum. It was more like a pook thing. And Suffocate, I intentionally kind of made it dancey, so you want that kick and that snare in there.
Yeah.
And then the hi-hats or whatever. But then the ride, and there's like ride movements. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I do all my production generally the same way. But I've gotten used to like how to bring certain things out and move things around and panning and soundscaping and shit like that. I do
Yeah.
it even with like the raw tracks and everything that I take in here, and it's always not like the best microphones and everything, but it's what it is. But I mentioned that track because I was listening to Tame Impala a lot during that, and Suffocate is actually one of the songs that's out on Spotify right now that actually kind of has like a chorus, but not really. But it definitely has a repeating mentioning of Suffocate, which is like the closest thing I have to a chorus so far. But
One word.
Tame Impala, yeah, one word. Tame Impala with their new album Slow Rush, I was kind of amazed when I first heard it. I didn't really like it at first, but then I like listened to a couple of
Didn't either.
songs and I really started liking it, and I really started appreciating it for like what it was. Like I really started liking it like a lot. And but he had such choruses in there. Like he had choruses and he had verses and he had these things in there that were like so song orientated, but the soundscape was just so fucking great.
I mean, he literally probably has the best production of any
Yeah.
Any current
Band.
artist.
Absolutely.
Well, he's
that
not even a band.
exists. Yeah, I mean, like I say band, but I mean,
He's
yeah,
he's like an artist.
Yeah,
Because he's
exactly.
just recording it all
because he
himself
hires musicians.
for live performances.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's this. He uses the same artist too from Pond. the
Yeah,
band
Pond. Yeah, Mhm.
Pond is sick.
They're cool.
Pond
band.
are sick.
But that's kind of where it gets like I would love to sound like Tame Impala. I'm sure a lot of people would.
Everyone would.
But it's like I don't like having that disconnect. I almost don't even like using electric equipment because like I'm a pretty self-sustainable guy, so I kind of think like, yo, when the solar flares hit and the solar panels, when like the solar grid collapses or the fucking electrical grid collapses, we're not gonna be able to use electric. So like I want to have people accustomed to like acoustic and drums and that kind of stuff, and like it could still sound like edgy and shit. But so I try not to use like synthesizers and like phasers and like all these kind of things, just strictly out of almost principle to try to. Also because creativity kind of breeds the most when you have like a limited structure to work in. Because when you have like
It's
a
true.
million options, you're not as creative as you could be if you only had like one drum kit that you can only mic a couple ways and tune a certain type of ways. Like
Yeah.
the availability for sonic differences
When you're like
less.
encumbered, you become better because it gives you something else to focus on. That's
Yeah.
not like taking all it like takes up part of your brain that makes you more creative. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
or more athletic or something. Like one of my favorite stories, my dad, when he was a kid, he was like the greatest softball game or baseball game I ever had when I was a kid was when I was like stuck with 2 left shoes on.
There you go.
Because like I was thinking about that the whole time and it just made me more in the moment, I guess.
Yeah,
Because you're more present, like you're there. Like if you have an injury, you're like there, you're hurting. So you're like in the music. Like with pain and music goes hand in hand, you know what I mean?
That's actually peculiar. Yeah, that is very peculiar. Pain and music kind of does go hand in hand. Or at least uncomfortability or like anxiety or whatever you want.
Hard emotion. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like
It's
if you're
intense
brokenhearted or
emotion.
something, like it brings you into the moment more, which makes your stuff more relatable or more like genuine, I guess. I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it really. No one really does. So I guess if they could, they would be.
Well, one thing, so like I'm a pretty like also like a hippy dippy kind of like spiritual guy. So I've kind of realized like there's probably like this like idealistic like cluster of like thoughts that we all do. And I feel like as a musician, personally, this also deals in why I don't write choruses. Because like when I write lyrics and I'm literally like I can freestyle, like I can rap. Like I could probably out rap a rapper. You feel me? So it's like when I sing, I'm like rapping with melody. I'm like freestyling with melody. And then I obviously use my artistic ability and my creative vision to mold what happened into a way that I want it to occur. Because stuff happens. When I play chords, like I hear melodies, I sing them, words come out, but it's not always the streamline that I want it to lead into where I want to go. So I mold it how I want it. Sometimes I don't need to mold it, but that's why choruses generally never happen. Also, back to I don't know why musicians can't explain what it is. Like, I feel like when you're in a heavy emotion or something like that, or when you're in like a distraught or like a real, even like a really appreciatory, like happy energy, you just maybe as, you know, obviously everyone's different, but like maybe as a musician, someone who defines himself as a musician probably just has that ability to like connect with like, that's why my album's called Archetypes, is because there's different things happen to everybody all the time, the same way, pretty much the same themes, the archetypes. That's why they're called archetypes.
For sure.
So like musicians pick up on those like archetypes that exist that have been happening to humans for like so long. I mean, think about how long humans have been doing human shit. They've always been looking at the stars. They've always been falling in love. They've always been divorcing, breaking up, having babies, sad, babies dying, fucking ducks dying, dogs dying.
Ducks.
Like, you know,
people over.
yeah, so people have been experiencing this shit for fucking ages. And we're at such a point in our time period now. I mean, we can probably, if shit works out the way that I think it does, I feel like musicians and even artists can like pick up, even people who can speak well, I mean, picking up on that energy and like translating it to like the sound that we do with our mouth is pretty. And that goes back to like the music too, because on the guitar you have to like learn how to play the guitar in order to express what you think you should do on the guitar.
I think that expression from musicians, like you say, their ability to pick it up, I don't know if it's necessarily born with. Like I think some people are naturally more gifted at it, but I think it is learned and practiced. Like
it's definitely a skill
as
you
you
have to
keep
master.
going like with music and you keep trying to write songs and you keep trying to express that in a way that other people can understand, you get better at it, like naturally.
100%. And you also just get feedback because you hear how you see how your music is impacting people. And like when I first started hearing music, when I first started making music, I was literally recording on GarageBand on like a laptop with like a little headphone microphone and like recording my guitar through it and my vocals, and it sounded like shit. And it made me cringe. So like that, you said earlier, I don't know, I'm not going to mention what you said. Maybe you don't want it mentioned, but how you don't like to listen to your own music.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
I can't stand listening to my own
He
stuff.
really doesn't.
So like, that's one thing that I
Ever.
always tried to do with my own music was I wanted to always make music, because I don't really listen to music that much. I don't like listening to music unless I'm researching
strange.
it, because first of all, I find that I like listening to music that suits me well, obviously, as most people do. But I find that a lot of the music that exists right now is so like egotistical and like degrading almost in a way that,
You're talking about pop music.
well, pop music, but even like anything that's like
Popular.
anything that's popular and makes its way to you,
Yeah.
I probably am not going to like it. I can appreciate it, but like the topics and the energy, it doesn't all like make me happy. So like older music is generally what I find to be more like pure and like speaks to me. But even that sometimes just gets so like whitewashed. And I guess that's why I started making music, is because like I wanted to hear music that I like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. No, I get that. I mean, when I say I don't want to listen to my own music, it's not because I'm making music that like I don't like. Like I'm playing the way I would want to hear someone play.
yeah,
I just the fact that like I'm an overanalyzer and like a perfectionist. So like when I hear my stuff, I'm like, maybe I could have done that a little better, or maybe I could have done this differently, or like put this in here. And every time I hear it, I'm like, I could have done this better. I wish I could redo this. So like if I do that, I just get in my own head, and then from then on out, I'm worse. So like I try to avoid it and try to keep it like that's the best I could have done at the time. Like move on. Like let's keep going with something
Yeah.
else. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
can't.
that definitely happens.
I'll dwell on it. Like I can't listen to my own stuff for that reason, which sucks that I can't like enjoy music that I make. Like usually if I'm enjoying music that I made, it's because the other bandmates are doing cool things that I like. You know what I mean? It's not because of the drums that I laid on it. Like I can't.
You're a drummer?
Yeah, I won't. Yeah,
Okay.
but I like if I'm listening to the drums on something I've done, it's like I'm just analyzing it. Whereas if I'm listening to the song, I'm like, oh man, that was sick. Like what the guitarist just did right there. Or the bass sounds sick here.
Do you play any other instruments?
No.
Okay.
And I'm like intentionally trying to not learn melodies or like learn how to do music. Just keep it as natural as possible, which is kind of stubborn at this point. But I do want to learn keyboards at some point.
Yeah.
It's
feel like
such an
that's-
endeavor to learn like music theory from scratch.
Well,
So
I'll tell you the way that I learned how
Scary.
to play like any. Well, so like I play most instruments. Like I play classical instruments. Like I play like flute, bassoon, baritone, like trumpet, tuba,
cool.
and then I play like rock and roll instruments. But when I first started learning, the only thing that I did was I like learned like other people's songs, and then I just kind of like cataloged. I guess I didn't really know what the chords were at the time, but I could tell it. I'm like a really good pattern recognizer, like patterns. So like I was able to tell like, oh my god, this thing is happening over here, and like they're using the same pattern. So then I would just like stick those patterns in like my brain, my toolbox, shall we say?
Yeah.
I think that is the
That's
best
the
way
best
to
way.
learn music. Like if
I
you
agree.
learn in a school, they're gonna teach you how they want you to learn. Like,
They're gonna teach you the math of it,
Yeah.
which is like almost
Takes away the
it-
beauty of
It
it.
does take away the beauty because like even
Yeah.
that song that I was just playing in there, it goes to an E major, to a C major, to a D major, which is not like that's not really in a certain key. That's like popping out of keys because the E major should be an E minor.
Well, there are no rules, man. They like try to say that there are rules to
Yeah.
this, and there's not. It's
There's
just
not.
it sounds good or it doesn't, and
Exactly.
that's all there is to it.
And
So if people are teaching you like you have to do this, then you will be like, oh, I have to do this, and you'll sound like everyone else,
Yeah.
that's kind of the
which is
unfortunate part.
scary. Like
It is.
Yeah.
And that's probably why the music sounds the way it does nowadays, is because
Everybody copycats.
well, also they got it down. I mean, we've been making music for so long that you
and there's a select number
I
of
think-
gatekeepers that are keeping everything that they want in the
Yeah.
forefront. where
They're
it's like-
throwing their subjectivity
Exactly.
into it. It's
exactly.
like
And it's kind of intense. It goes back to that Spotify thing. It's just intense. You know what I'm saying? With the way that they you have to be on Spotify, kind of in a way.
Yeah. I mean,
so that
people have tried to
to be
not
relevant.
To be
in a way,
relevant, but
yeah.
it's like they're sucking money out of you. Like you have to like
beyond sucking money.
dude,
Yeah.
they're like and it's almost depressing to a point to be a musician because you're like work so hard, but then the fruits of your labor are like so minute unless you like I don't know, I guess you can literally market yourself well. Like it's just it takes skill. Like it takes skill. You have to make
skill and constant effort.
constant effort.
Yeah, and the connectivity to your audience, like
It's not just making music anymore.
yeah, like Jeff. Yeah, you're a brand.
Yeah,
but this guy
you're
Jeff
literally a brand.
Jeff Menig was telling me like you can make a living off of 1,000 dedicated followers. Like of your band.
100%.
Yeah.
That's like
because
Rory.
if 1,000 people are buying all your merch and buying your CDs,
and it's $3
then
each or something
yeah,
like
then
that.
you are making a living. So
Yeah.
like that's all you really need is 1,000 people that truly believe and love what you're doing. So like the huge numbers don't really matter. It's really just like how dedicated your listeners or your followers are.
It's kind of peculiar. Like, how does one make such a? You have to bring a lot of value to somebody's life in order for them to be constantly absorbing your product, whether
For sure.
it be like a fucking shirt or whether it be a new song or a music video that comes out. Like, they have to care about what you're doing, and they'll only do that if you bring some sort of value to their life. Because it's so easy to just go on Spotify to click on a fucking Drake song. Or like to listen to some fucking Led Zeppelin. Like they already have it. You know what I mean? They already have it. Why do we need you? You feel
Yeah,
me? So
for
you've,
sure.
you've literally got to bring, you got to be bringing something to the table. And I feel like that's what, when I hear people, like I hate to say this because a lot of people get pissed at me when I talk shit about trap music, but
Oh god.
It's been around for long enough they can handle the criticism.
yeah, I loved trap music when it came out with like Gucci Mane and like Migos when it first started
T.I.
coming out, like T.I. and that shit. I don't know. if
Ti
I-
invented it.
trap music.
Yeah,
I don't.
trap rap was Ti.
Yep, I think you're right.
Man,
I
that was
never really got
90s. It's
Born
been
in-
around that long.
It was born in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I have no gravity on that topic. But when it first started off, I was like, hell yeah, this is cool. I fucks with it. But once everybody it goes back to the authenticity of things. Like people hopped on that trap equation because they saw that it impacted people so quickly without having them to like give a shit about what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
So people, it's like literally the perfect marketing scheme is trap music. And people hopped on it like in a business. That's one thing I learned about playing with Mass Dopamine at the beginning in like these rap exposés, is because literally everybody was so business orientated. See, because like in the rock scene, we'll travel like 3 states away to play a show where we make like $12 and barely cover gas money. You feel me?
Yeah.
And then like these rappers you catch them dead before they go like lose money traveling somewhere or something like that. So they're really business oriented. Like, oh, I'll only come perform here if you can guarantee this or guarantee that or guarantee this. And they're treating their Instagrams are so branded and like everything is so branded and everything is so marketed. It's not like, oh, this is art. It's like, this is a business, which is a completely different aspect of what like normal bands are like. And I feel like that's probably why trap music is the way it is right now, like the biggest thing. But I feel like we could learn a lot. And by we, I mean like the natural instrumentalists or whatever, rock or whatever you want to play with your instruments. I feel like we could learn a lot from the way that they go about their business, because in this day and age, labels are like becoming less and less relevant because
Yeah,
they're-
to
You
a
can do it
degree.
all
To a
yourself.
degree.
well, to a degree, like it would be nice to have the financial backing of like millions of dollars to push your product.
Yeah.
And, to
And
have
at the highest level, like you kind of need it. Like for the middle ground artists, you don't need it at all. But if you wanted to be like you're saying, the huge artists that are being pushed on you all the time,
yeah.
that only happens because those labels are buying out these companies like Spotify, being like, they're going to be on the top of the playlist every time because of our label.
And that's
Like
intense.
has such a investing
Where's
interest
the
in
democracy
Spotify.
in that? But
No,
I
there's
guess
not. There's never has been though.
Yeah,
Radio
there's no need
stations
for
have
them
been
to.
doing that since the 50s and 60s.
Which is kind of fucked up.
So,
It's kind of fucked up. It's fucked up, bro. It's fucked
no,
up.
I mean, yeah, that's like the common theme of music is the industry is fucked and it will never be saved.
But
Everyone
how?
knows it's fucked and it'll never fix itself.
See, that's kind of I hate to take away from the music, but I guess that's the problem with everything nowadays. It's like
For
everyone's
sure.
so.
Everyone knows the problem. No one knows the solution.
Yeah, and it's like even
Yeah.
with the marches and everything that's been going on in the streets and everything, I feel like everyone's just walking in the street like, it smells so stinky, it smells so bad, but like nobody wants to go find out where the stink is, and nobody
Yeah.
wants to go clean it. You feel me?
It's true.
And I guess it takes a lot of effort to go find out the bad apples. It's a lot easier to call out the orchard.
It does, and it
Yeah,
takes
that's a
power.
Good saying.
It does take power, yeah.
Like the people in power need to take responsibility for these things, and
But why would they? Because they're in power.
they don't
I mean,
need
think
to.
about it. If you were in
They
power,
maintain the status
if you
quo.
were in power, would you want to give away your power?
No,
No.
of course not.
Nobody would.
Yeah.
And that's just human nature. I mean, that's just conquering. I mean, Napoleon. I mean, fucking Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan used to go like rape fucking villages and do this crazy shit. But only if you didn't want to follow his ways. Because Genghis Khan actually was a pretty cool guy in a way. Because he would.
We were advocating for Genghis Khan.
Mass dopamine
Mass-
advocating for
Mass
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan did nothing wrong.
Genghis Khan 2020
We'll be making bumper stickers
Your
on the
bumper
website.
at massdopamine.com. No, but he would go in and he would say, listen, you're either going to follow. He actually was very religiously tolerant. So he would allow people to practice their religion, but he would make people change language and cultures. And if you didn't, then you would get killed or like raped or whatever. Crazy shit.
Yeah.
But that's literally the way it's always been. It's just now that process has been hidden away into government, which isn't a Donald Trump. It's not a Joe Biden. It's like a whole machine of people from the city, that fucking city, the city town hall, all the way up to the federal Supreme Court and shit like that. It's like a huge ladder of a bunch of different people. It's not just one person. And it's like a bunch of different parties. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that they can use is like, oh, the President Trump or not Joe Biden. Like these presidential icons make it so easy for people to think they're impacting something, but they're not. because it doesn't matter who's president, really. It matters who the Senate is. It matters who's voting in the House of Representatives. It matters who's listening to what the people have to say in your city, because in the city, they'll listen to what you say. First of all, people don't really vote in the city. Like, people don't vote for like low-level ballots. It's very like, that's definitely a minority of people in the country vote at smaller levels of government.
Well, yeah, they make it more complicated and give you
Less information.
an outlet to say that like you have a difference by voting the popular vote. You know what I mean?
It's not only that, but like also like, I mean, I voted in the primaries, and it's like 90% of these people I've never fucking heard of them.
Yeah, true.
And that goes
it's
back to
like,
education,
It's
too.
a lot of like research as well that you have to do.
It takes a lot of work
It takes
to-
time,
And
which
no one does.
which a lot of people don't have.
Because we're working, we're
Yeah.
working all the time, and then when we're not working, we're trying to work on the things that we want to work on, and we're not. And if we're too exhausted from that, we're relaxing. Or
But the
whatever.
same goes for music, like you're saying. Like, there's a complicated process to get you where you need to be in popularity wise.
Yeah.
But it is a very drawn out, research driven process of like the algorithms that you have to figure out and understand.
It's a learning curve,
and
especially
the way
nowadays.
to market yourself, which you have to figure out and understand that no
Yeah.
one's going to teach you.
No, it's
Yeah.
gonna teach
And
that.
they keep like, and Spotify's like gives you this popular vote where they're like, you can put it up here and people will find you for sure if you do it the right way, which is kind of like just a hopeful way to think about it. But
like an
people
empty
will,
pit.
yeah, exactly.
It's like
it
an empty.
is.
It's like you just throw your
Really.
dreams in here, and
yeah.
it'll be okay.
People in the
It's
wishing
like-
well.
People will
It is.
believe
Pay me
that
real
like it'll
well for
happen
that
and
before
fix
you-
itself, but like it won't unless you do the research and figure out how to do it yourself and really like treat it like. That's why these people treat it like a business,
'Cause it
because
is,
they
'cause it has to
know
be.
that it is a business. Like
Yeah.
regardless of the romanticizing you want to make about music and people have in the past and all these movies that you've seen and documentaries that you've seen, like of the crazy way that it used to be where like a manager would take them under their wing and all they had to do was make music.
I wish.
And they were just like Crosby, Stills and Nash, like being naked on boats with models, making gorgeous music, and their manager would take care of the rest. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I
does
mean?
not exist.
It's like you gotta figure out how to do it
You have to
yourself.
legitimize yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I
Well-
feel like musicians have this idea, like, oh, if I just make my art, somebody else who hears it will legitimize me, and then I
Yeah.
will in turn like be successful. But you have to brand yourself, understand the game, and legitimize yourself before others.
And
will
somehow
legitimize you.
keep that authenticity.
Wasn't
Yeah.
it?
See, that's the hardest part is
Yeah,
being like a
absolutely.
machine, but also being a human at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Wasn't
They're
it
two
like
different
I think
brains.
wasn't it like Oasis or something that was like the last true, traditional, I guess getting popular rock band in a way.
Coldplay did it too.
without the internet.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Coldplay did it
Coldplay,
the same way
yeah.
Oasis did.
Yeah.
Like I watched a documentary on Coldplay not too long ago, and I didn't realize that they were all just buddies from high school
yeah.
that just formed a band, like Radiohead did too.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't know. They were like kind of the same way, but like you think of Coldplay as this machine-based band,
Mm-hmm.
but they really didn't sign to like a label and all that crazy stuff till later, and they were just
How
like
later?
like a
Like
couple
past,
albums
like
later.
Viva La Vida later?
Like-
Russia Blood.
It was
Right.
yeah, I think it was Russia Blood, but they still kept their same like the label was like just
Authenticity.
keep doing you because people are freaking out about Yellow. Like Yellow is a
Yellow went hard.
god of a song. Like
It did go hard.
just keep doing that.
It did
please.
go hard. Yeah, Yellow
Like,
was good.
Unreal
Yellow was good.
songwriting.
Coldplay's got
Shout out
some
Coldplay.
bangers.
Dude, like unbelievable songwriting.
Claws.
So like yeah.
Yellow was good.
But yeah, that whole like how you get recognition now that doesn't exist, like it used to. Now.
Yeah.
But it's a 360 turn.
Yeah.
It's
It's
tough.
flipped.
It takes
But it's
getting
technology.
luck and also, staying true to the path and the business. It's a bunch of different factors, but it can be done still. You just have to
It has to really be.
you have to do it yourself in the beginning.
and you have to really dive into it. It's not something you can really half-ass.
And really just
Yeah.
stay the course. Like
Yeah.
a lot of bands that
Mhm.
you discover on your own, you find them like 3 albums in. And you're like, where was this band? Like they've had stuff since 2016.
Yep.
I'm just hearing about them now. Like Idols is one for me that I just found
Like,
this
what
year.
the fuck?
And I'm
Yeah,
like, they've been
how do
around
I not know about
forever. Like,
Idols?
how do I love this kind of music. I love this crazy, like, I guess it's kind of punky
It's like
stuff.
yeah.
They're like a modern day Rage Against the Machine to me. Like, they're saying political things in a way that people haven't musically. Like, it's insane. They're so good. It's like, how did I just find them?
Shout out to
They
Idols.
just stayed, yeah, they just stayed the course, though, like, and now they're blowing up.
Yeah.
And it's like, it'll happen. It just takes like a grassroots movement combined with some luck, which
And
is
effort.
it's tough. But
And effort. Well,
but
I guess
staying
grassroots,
true.
effort,
Yeah.
and grassroots.
like you can't sell out right off the bat. Like
No.
you can if you
And you
want,
won't
but-
be able to. You won't be
true,
able to sell out
exactly.
until until you get the opportunity to sell out. Then it's probably you're fine.
Like
If you get an opportunity to sell out, you're probably fine.
Yeah, you're probably right.
if people feel that you're trying to appeal to them, it's a turnoff.
It is a turnoff. People want to look at something. One thing that I've recognized is that people are growing more and more like not human. Like people are growing more and more like mechanical. Like you wake up every morning, you check your phone.
No
you look at-
emotion.
And it's
It's
very
very weird.
It's very weird. It's kind of intense.
Have you guys watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
I haven't
yet,
Oh
no.
my God, yeah.
Should I?
It goes well. I mean, if you want to learn about how social media like manipulates you and gets you to stay on their platform for as
MK
long as
Ultra?
possible, then
Yeah.
go for it. Because they do.
They do.
Absolutely.
They absolutely. It's definitely like kind of dramatized, but it's good.
Yeah, they're in the market for attention span,
Yeah.
and the longer that they can keep your attention
Longest.
on
Yeah.
that, they're getting
Every
adverts.
single post you look at on Instagram, they monitor. Like they know how long you look at that one picture.
so they can know
And
what
they
to
figure
pump out to you,
They try to predict what other things you want.
which is only
It's really
smart
messed
business.
up.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
I mean, it's just smart business. I mean, if you had the
It is
opportunity
smart,
to be
yeah.
that person, wouldn't you be looking into the same things?
Mhm.
It's just kind of weird because we're on the opposite side of it. It's like we're the Satan to Donald Trump's God, but Donald Trump is the Satan to our God. Maybe not ours, but like the ideology. Someone's on the rough end of the stick, someone's on the good end of the stick, and it's in the eye of the beholder.
At least with the social media thing, it's been happening long before Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
for
Well, I'm
sure.
not talking about.
Yeah.
It's not like Donald Trump is
Yeah.
a reason that's happening or
Yeah,
anything like
yeah.
that. I'm just saying that like the ideology of being on the short end of the stick is, it's in retrospect.
Right.
It's in the eyes of the beholder. So it's like there's nothing bad or there's nothing good, which is kind of a hard thing to It's kind of a hard thing to deal with, because every bad thing leads to a good thing if you learn from it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
It's
wouldn't
how
know.
you take it for sure.
Yeah, it's how you take it, because you can't make things happen. You can't make things not happen. I mean, you can make
can.
certain things happen.
Yeah, you can.
But some things you can't make not happen, I guess is the better way to say it. Some things are going to happen, and it's just up to you whether or not you deal with it in a proper way or
That was one of
constructive
Steve Jobs' like big beliefs, is that like people are so like willing to accept that they have no power, and he's like, I can literally change the world. Like I'm going to change the world through my actions.
Yeah.
And he did.
manner. And you can.
And it's insane. Like he thought that way before he invented all the things he did with Apple. Like he was like, I can literally change the world if I just do things.
Yeah, you just
Like
have
all
to
you
do
have
it.
to do is do things.
I could go into the street and start preaching my philosophy or playing guitar, but I don't, because I think there's better things to do with my time. But
You can do it on Twitter.
yeah, you can do it. You can do it on Twitter.
True that.
Master
Reach way more people.
Dopamine is even on Twitter.
Shout out.
Should we get on
No
Twitter? Shout out, no Twitter. Master
Twitter's
Dopamine.
kind of dying.
It is.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know.
I don't
He's-
like it.
I
just
won't
don't like
ever.
it.
I was
touch
never
Twitter.
really a good Twitterer, so it's
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Twitter's a kind of dying
Twitter's
platform,
pretty
but
dying. I mean,
TikTok is the new one, bro.
see, that's another thing, bro. Like,
Kids.
can we talk about TikTok for a second?
Shout out TikTok.
I kind of understand it now.
I-
I used to be, dude. I used to be one of those people who's like, what the hell is this? It's so dumb. But like, I've been on it for a couple weeks, like just
You're addicted.
trying
They
to
got
figure it
you.
out.
Don't touch it.
No, I'm not
Hold
addicted or
down.
No,
anything,
I'm
but
kidding.
it's like I get it for sure.
Yeah,
It's definitely a young person's platform, but like it's sillier. It's like goofier. It's less serious. Like Facebook and Instagram, they got these kids so like worried about their appearance
and also
like,
politics. Facebook is like
Yeah.
politics central.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bro,
oh my
fuck
God.
Facebook.
And they're
Jesus.
getting pressured by their classmates to do things, and like all these comments and like hate, and then like TikTok came out, and these kids that
everything was
grew up
okay.
on this stuff like on Facebook and Instagram have had this like horrible pressure all the time. They're like literally celebrities that aren't celebrities, because there's constant eyes on them from all these people
Are you
on
talking about
social media.
TikTokers or Facebook?
I'm talking about kids that grow up with social media.
Oh,
It's like being a celebrity without trying to be a celebrity, because there's always someone watching you. There's always someone judging what you're saying. There's always like pressure for you to say things like publicly, which is like they think it's to everyone, but it's really just to like their high school or something. And then TikTok comes along and it's like goofy and fun and silly, and they can just like dance around, and like it's not like a judgy thing, you know what I mean? Which is, it's kind of escape in that sense, which like I think I get it now. That's kind of what it is.
it's definitely an escape. I mean, I've seen people scroll through like spend their entire day scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I
it's
feel like-
not as like that. It's not the crazy hateful stuff that you scroll through Facebook. And
no,
like,
it's not.
oh
I
my
could say that
God,
for a
like,
fact.
people
TikTok
are
is
overwhelming.
killing
is
each
not
other here. Like,
hateful.
yeah,
TikTok is not hateful
It's
at all.
literally
Yeah.
fun and playful.
It's literally fun and
That's why
playful.
people like it.
yeah.
I feel like it is kind of unfortunate that a lot of young people are using it as much as they do, though, because I feel anything is a tool. I mean, even marijuana. I had to quit smoking marijuana for a minute because like I was smoking it to no use. There was no use. I was smoking it, and I was just like, it was almost becoming a chore. I mean, I've been smoking weed.
Yeah, it can get there.
And it's like I've been smoking weed almost every day for like 2 years or something like that. Maybe you guys, maybe even more. You guys are older. How old are you guys, by the way?
We're 30.
I'm 30.
26.
We're 30?
We're 30.
You guys 30 together?
I always have to think.
Oh, that's cute.
I don't know if you realize, but it was 420 for an entire month this year.
Yeah. So maybe that's
I
why
did that the
was
entire
going.
month. April, every day in April, I smoked every day.
I was like,
I was so tired of it, and like the last week, I'm like, I just gotta
God.
power through.
you wake up in the morning, you're like, fuck. Grab your bowl.
Yeah, but this is Eric Peters, by the way, co-hosting with us this week.
Yeah.
Forgot to
Shout out to
introduce
Eric
him.
Peters.
This has
Little
been my
late.
boy
Yeah.
since early high school.
We've
So-
been doing music.
We've been
for
doing
how
music
long?
forever.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
But I just wanted to get a little co-host in here
That's nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been fun.
to kind of
that's a good
add to the singer-songwriter vibe that you're bringing.
definitely singer-songwriter.
Because that's what this guy is, singer-songwriter as
Hey,
well.
shout
so-
out. Welcome.
Shout out
how do you
singer-songwriter.
sing
Hey,
songwriter? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
Yeah,
But listen, tools.
yeah.
TikTok is a tool, but I feel like if you don't use it the right way, it can definitely engulf you. And
Oh, like everything,
yeah.
man.
as like everything.
Everything in moderation, you know?
But younger kids are the least likely to use it the right way.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because
And
they're all dumb and young.
And
Full
young
time.
kids are like really susceptible. It's already hard enough figuring out what you want to do in life. You know what I mean? It makes it even harder when you've adapted to a habit of just constantly watching like things, even on YouTube. Like I have to like really make sure on YouTube that I'm watching things that are like educational. They're gonna teach me how to like record better, or like watching documentaries or something like that. Because like you can just fall into a pit of like entertainment. And that's kind of like sometimes it's good to relax. I mean, obviously entertainment's good, but like I feel like a lot of people don't even know what they wake up in the morning for. You feel me? Like a lot of people just wake up in the morning like, fuck, another day. Like for me, I feel like I really, especially ever since I dropped the Archetypes album, I've been very like thankful that I get another day to work on my dream. You feel
Yeah,
me?
that's how I feel too, man. If music didn't exist,
I would probably be in a different place.
I would feel no purpose. in
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And it's, I guess
Yeah.
that's lucky for us because music
Yeah.
is something for someone like, I guess a singer-songwriter who like, I don't know, can you sing?
Yeah.
Okay, so like if you can sing, you know pretty early on that you can sing, which is like something really like recognizable, and then maybe you choose to take it into a different route. You play piano and you can start writing music very easily, as opposed to someone who's like meant to be like a fucking architect or something like that. There's like a lot more loopholes you have to jump that aren't there for a musician to be a musician. Like we can express ourselves without having to fucking go to college or without
There's a
having to
certain
do-
natural ability
Yeah.
that you're gifted with
Yeah.
music, yeah, for sure.
And I mean, other people have those same. Everybody has their own natural gifted ability, but I feel like musicians and like artists, people who can draw, people who can paint, or have the accessibility to express themselves so much easier than other people, which is a blessing. But then there's people who are like not musicians or not creative individuals in that sense that have other purposes, whether it's like teaching little children or fucking being a hospital person. And that's where also I was trying to get back in that TikTok thing. Like I feel like
That's their escape.
that's their escape, and
Yeah.
they don't really get chance to focus on the fact that like who they need to be, because literally it's that deep. Like
yeah, it is.
Like,
It's who you are.
it's who you are.
Yeah.
And there's no,
Yeah.
and society is painted in such a way that it's like, it's almost like to be a normal person in America. Like everyone downloads TikTok, everyone spends their time watching that, everyone does this shit. But it's like also a lot of people are not happy. Like they don't really know what they're here for. And it's like back in the day when you used to like, you wake up in the morning, if you don't go get wood to go make your fire, you're going to be cold. Or like if you don't get wood to go make your fire, you're not going to have breakfast. Or if you don't go get the eggs from
Yeah.
the chicken, you're not going to have eggs.
It's like a blessing and a curse having that ability to think about what is my purpose? Because back in the day, like you're saying, like even 300 years ago, people didn't have the luxury of thinking, what is my purpose? They're like, I'm
They
trying
had
to
to survive.
live today.
Yeah. Survival
Yeah.
is like of the
Yeah.
essence.
Which is how like hobbies are born. Like Hawaii is one of the first places we had documented like someone made a sport, which was surfing, because they were so like well endowed with things around them, like natural
Very
food,
lush
and yeah,
island,
exactly.
yeah.
They didn't have to worry about like being hunted or killed or whatever. They were just like, we have all this free time.
What are we
They
going to do with
figured it out. Like they figured out surfing was a thing. So it's like that. It's a blessing and a curse. You know what I mean?
It is.
Like having the ability to think about who am I, like why am I here, is such a spoiled thing.
And
'Cause
unless
if-
you like hop
yeah.
out of that mentality, you're not going to realize that you have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because like right now, even people since more people are alive now than they ever have been.
Yeah.
More people are living more so than dying, I guess. We have healthcare, we have medicines, we have food, we have all, at least in the United States. Shout out
Everywhere.
to other places that are
Shout out America.
Shout out America. Fuck yeah. Also, good luck to everywhere else.
I don't think we have a lot of overseas listeners here.
USA number 1.
Shout out to that one guy.
China
in
number 2.
That one guy in Sweden.
They might be low-key number 1.
Since we're like not really worrying about too much about survival, we have like so much time to either entertain ourselves, make ourselves look pretty, or like
Or
worry
hate
about
on
our
other
hobbies,
people.
or hate on other people. So it's
Yeah.
either love or hate, and it's either love for other people or
Yeah.
love for yourself, or hate of other people or hate it for yourself. And I feel like the guidance that exists in society, like where are the role models? You feel me? This is one thing I've been talking to a lot of people about. Like, where are the role models at? Like, who are you supposed to be? Who are little children looking up to?
Cardi B.
See,
Yeah.
and I mean that's another thing, because the women, they be like, but she's expressing her sexuality, like that's who she is. She should be able to do that. I'm like, you're right.
she should.
You're right, but where's the other side of being a woman? Where is that showcased? I don't know.
It's not famous.
I mean, I'm sure she's a great mom, but
Well,
it's not
we gotta
portrayed,
know.
you know?
Well, I'm not even talking about
It's
our
not
mother's
our
part.
end result,
I'm talking
yeah.
about like women can be great people and have success without having to sexualize themselves.
Yeah.
They can,
Yeah.
and they
do
should
both.
be able to the same way anybody should be able to. I'm not saying. I literally got in a heated argument with some woman about this. She was like, "Fuck you! You're not a girl. You can't say this." I'll be like, "I'm allowed to have an opinion. I just can't enforce it. Is what I can't do."
Yeah. And
But-
you shouldn't. I mean,
No, I
people
shouldn't. It's not
be
my
able to.
right. You shouldn't. I can say my perspective to you, and I could tell you.
Yeah.
I think based off of the education I've done, this is probably a route that's possible to be taken. But it's up to that person whether or not they want to do it. To be quite frank, I think the same thing about this mask shit that's going on right now. I feel like public education should be there, and if people choose to abide by it, they should. But if people don't, then they don't. Companies should be able to do what they want to do because companies are companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I don't want to fucking serve you, then I'm not going to serve you because that's my company. It's a different situation. But like walking around in certain places and like government facilities, I feel like it should be. I don't really know. It's a tough situation.
Yeah,
But
it's
is.
tough. But the shutdown mentality of like, I won't listen to you because you think this way, without having an
horrible.
actual discourse, is pretty insane.
Yeah, and even if somebody is to not end up
Like, you
following-
can't have that opinion, like the woman saying you can't have that opinion because you're not a woman. It's such a shutdown mentality of like, instead of listening to your opinion and why you think certain ways,
Yeah.
you're just like,
have a conversation.
no matter
with
what, you're wrong because you aren't this, or
Yeah.
you don't think this. It's the wrong way to be.
Short circuits logic.
It's terrible.
It does, because that's the. I mean, how are we supposed to grow if we're not listening? Because if you think about it, real deep. If you think
now
about
we're
it,
getting deep.
there's like so many different people.
Deep.
Going deep with Mass Dopamine.
Getting real deep.
If you think about it, there's so many different people living so many different lives, doing so much different shit. We're almost just like different. If you think, life is confusing enough to figure out as it is. But if you think for 1 second that this whole place was possibly just made up to figure out something, whatever that something is, all these different, life has been growing and flustering and evolving for so long. We're like going to something. And if we like communicate everything that we think, we're bound to figure out a yes or a no. We're like, this is more right, this is more wrong. We continue evolving. But we're not going to evolve until we learn to like listen to everybody. Because,
For sure.
you wouldn't be alive unless you needed to be alive. That's my opinion. I wouldn't be alive unless I wasn't needed to be alive. Because if I was meant to be like him, there's just you. There's no need to be two people that are the same.
Yeah.
So everyone has their own thing, and everyone has their own thing for, I feel like, a uniquely very specific and important reason, because you're meant to impact somebody. Like, you guys are probably going to leave here. I don't know what's going to happen, but something's going to happen. You're probably going to meet another person. I'm going to go up with my family after this. We're going to impact different things. And we impacted each other today. The listeners who choose to like watch this, they're going to get impacted. So it's like everything is like a little tiny little tree web of interacting into this. I don't know what that one point is going to be, but I don't think I'm going to be alive for it. I think
I don't think so.
and that's another thing that's been kind of intense to realize is there's so many people that have died and they've lived their entire lives hoping for some great like fulfillment, but they just die. I don't know about just dying, but like people die not seeing their fruits fulfilled.
It's one of the reasons people kind of fetishize like apocalyptic things, because they're like, oh, I want to be a part of the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
that's one of these things that's kind of helped fuel 2020 to keep going. Is everyone's like, oh, this is so bad. I'm a part of it. Let's keep it going in a sick, twisted way. Instead of trying to like get rid of this apocalyptic mentality we're in, people are like, oh, woe is me. What's going to happen next month?
Yeah.
It's going to be even worse, right? And it's like, instead of wanting it to get rid of it, people want to be a part of that end. You know what I mean?
Well, people have been feeling, no doubt, the decay of like society for a minute. And it's not decay of society, it's decay of the way we're doing society. Like the way that we live our lives every day and the way we, because humans need what? Food and water to survive. And then if they want to survive comfortably without getting eaten by like a bear or something, they need to be inside of a shelter. And then if it's cold and raining, they need to have a roof over their head. And if it's even more cold, they need to have clothes on their body. So it's like you could live naked out anywhere with food and water, presuming there's no bears around. But
Shout out to the show alone.
shout out to
Naked and Afraid.
Naked and Afraid. Sponsored by Mass Dopamine. But you know, right now the way we get our means to survival is thoroughly only like unless you make a fuckload of money to the point where you could buy a piece of land and you could build your own fucking thing away from everybody else, you're thoroughly dependent on the grocery stores, the grid, and you pay somebody for your electric, you pay somebody for your water, you pay somebody for your food, you pay somebody for your transportation. You don't know how any of this shit works. And kids don't even know how to grow food. I mean, I barely know how to grow food, and I've been teaching myself how to grow food. You feel me? We're like disconnected from cultivating our own survival, which is a tool that I'm sure the powers at hand have and will continue to work through so that we never learn how to, because it's like when you have somebody dependent on you for something, they're dependent on you and they're going to continue depending on you. And if that is financially returnable, like they're going to pay you. That's why Amazon is the fucking top of the game, because nobody can do anything like Amazon right now. Amazon is the person, the company who you can buy anything on it and they'll ship it to your door. It's the best. It's the best. How can we get better than that?
Yeah,
so it's
crazy.
like, that's that. And until I have a farm outside my house, or like a local farm or something like that where you could go to and you could get your own things that isn't dependent on like grocery stores and things like that, I feel like people are going to be, because it's
Self-sustaining. Yeah.
Self-sustainability is,
and that
I
brings
think,
us back to like the music industry right now. Like if you can self-sustain yourself without a label,
then you're going to continue on.
you're going to thrive. And like if you can figure out how to do all the things that these people have been doing for us for decades, and people are figuring it out how to do it. You
Well,
know?
the technology is finally here that we don't
Yeah.
we don't need to have manager Swayze Dick guy to give us the recommendation to the guy so that he could recommend us to that guy. Literally just post on Instagram. Like Facebook has an open platform to advertise on, and you can pick your audience.
Yeah.
So it's
cool.
like Facebook and Instagram advertising is that's kind of the same thing, but they're two of the really most powerful. And you can advertise on YouTube. You can advertise on Google. You can literally advertise on any of these, because that's how they make their money.
Oh yeah.
So they want anybody who can give them money. Anybody can
Yeah.
do it. But the thing about it is that other people have more money than you, and they have a higher production value. So like you see these music videos.
It's just a big competition.
It's a big competition
on who's gonna pay Google more to
Well,
show their
also-
shit first.
It's also who can make the most captivating advert.
Mm.
You know, because when it comes to like, let's say, Big Dick Band 2020 makes a fucking song that they think is gonna be number one. Like they have to just not just record the song. They have to record the song, probably make some sort of visual for it, so that they could post it on Instagram and Facebook and have like a captivating thing for someone to see. Because if you just see like a picture that says, "Oh, my band," you're gonna scroll past it. Like people scroll past shit all the time.
Yeah.
So you have to really capture someone's attention in literally the first 3 seconds.
Well, honestly, 20 hours captured me when I scrolled across your stuff. Your 20-hour visual clip captured me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. Well,
Yeah.
that was thought through. So that's happy that it works.
Stepping into 20 hours, because I just want to like ask you just generally like, what's the song about?
Let me think.
Sounds like you got dumped at a mall. Honestly.
Well, I guess I did go through a breakup like before that, not like multiple months before that. So I was in the mindset of like someone who I've just been broken up with. But the mall thing came out of nowhere, to be quite frank. I never really,
I liked it though.
I like it too.
Personable.
It gives it a very like adolescent like summer fling type of longing, nostalgic kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, which I like.
I liked it too.
Connects.
It's like happy and but it's also kind of nostalgic and slightly like longing, the energy in it. But the song is just about, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. Like I said, I write most of my
That's a hard question to answer.
I write most of my lyrics spontaneously. Like I'll record the song, or sometimes I'll just like play acoustically and I'll like hear the melody and then I'll sing the melody and whatever words come out. Sometimes I'll just use those, but generally it's a lot of spontaneity. So I'm not doing much thinking, which is kind of difficult for these kind of situations where it's like, what is the song about? Obviously the song is about like, so it's like even in the chorus it says like, I was right and you were wrong, or I was wrong and you were right and you were right. I face my fears and stand up to you every single night. That's kind of like something lyrically that can be associated to a lot of different things, which is something I try to do because I try not to write like love songs or like songs about women or songs about money.
Too.
Like I try to write songs that can reach a wider amount of audience. Obviously I have a specific energy, but you know,
sometimes it's hard to write like logically and rationally about what you're feeling.
because it's not.
It just is.
Feelings are not rational
They're
or
not.
logic. Yeah.
They're literally irrational.
Yeah, it's the most
They're
abstract
tied to
things.
rational things, but the expression of that is very irrational. So like, when you are writing something and people ask you what the song means, you're like, "Fuck you, man!" Like
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
What does it mean to you?
It's
What does it mean
like-
to you?
Yeah, it's what. Yeah.
Well, but what it
means
came
to you.
across as is probably the best thing that I could probably say it is. I mean, it is just
Yeah.
like a little. It's a song to express living a moment in your life, and then, that moment not being there anymore, and then you think about that moment, and possibly you think about the things that caused it to be that way, whether or not it's right or wrong, and then you think about what you've learned. I try to make most of the music very like learning, like growthful, inspiring, hopeful type shit. So that people, like I said, can hear it not just in their moments of downness, or they can hear it in their moments of like up and side, left and right, like all those kind of things.
For sure.
It's always like that. But 20 hours is more of one of those like 20 hours waiting for you to call, standing in line at the post at the top of the mall. Like you're sitting there waiting for something, but then, until you really think about like why you do stuff, then you're probably not going to like grow. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not like I thought about that or like crafted that statement. It's like, this is what 20 hours is about. It's just possibly maybe what I could think it's about. But
Good lyrics. Your listener creates their own interpretation of it.
Which is
And
the
it has
best
to
way.
have some ambiguity to allow for that.
Yeah, because
Really.
everybody is different.
Yeah.
Everybody's so different.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to write music, I try to, going back to what you asked me earlier, like why I make music, like I started, obviously all of my music always starts off with an expression of myself, but then I try to really use my artistic creative mind to like make it suitable for a popular audience. Not to say that it's like pop music, because as you can tell, it's very raw. And obviously if I ever were to get more financial stability, I would, that would buffen up a little bit, because I'd be able to afford like producers
I
who
was
would, like,
gonna
be able to do
ask
something
you
like
about that. Like, are you trying to plan on, I guess, more production value in your songs going forward? Because you said you wanted to keep their hands off of it creatively and keep the authentic feel, but you can still do that with better production value
Hard
within
to
your
find
songs.
good people to accomplish that goal.
Exactly.
But you can.
Like, there are people that will work with you, studios that will work with you, and just try to push out exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it with just better
production value.
production value. Like, because like
Like even a preamp, even a better preamp would suit me well.
that will like bring in a wider range of people, because
They can hear it.
right now, like when I say your music is raw, I don't want you to take this in the wrong way or anything, but like there's only a certain niche of people that will
Absorb
enjoy
that.
your music, because the casual listener will be like, well, this is kind of like way below the value of music that I'm listening to on the regular.
Yeah, it's like
And
hard
then-
to fit in.
And then like really established artists and musicians kind of only look through that production value of like how much time and effort did they put into this in terms of that production and studio life, and how did they sonically do this with this pedal and with this effect and with this like program in the machine. So like the middle ground artists and musicians are going to be the ones that gravitate towards you, because they're still in that like, oh wow, like this is like such a great song. He just doesn't have the ability to like really put the force behind it, but I can imagine that in my brain.
Yeah.
Like what that would sound like. Like if this was in a crazy studio with like a bunch of crazy like punch up like effects, then this would be like on the radio type stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like that middle ground is where you're at right now.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm wondering like how you plan on going to that next level of production value. Or if you do. Like I didn't know if you wanted to or not.
I would like to, but I guess I would always just have to be there in the studio when it's
for
happening,
sure.
which is something that I haven't been able to do. Because even when I recorded with Jesus on the Entity Green, he recorded it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we good on time or something?
It may have stopped actually.
Let me double check.
Cut.
Just want to make sure.
Cutting.
Oh no, we're actually good. Yeah, we're good.
Open cut.
Yep, we're good. Let me just double check how much battery I got. Come on.
How long have we been recording for?
Over an hour.
For sure.
Nice.
Feels like a long time.
Yeah, we've been
A
talking.
good
good.
long time.
It's been having some good conversation.
Flowy.
Yeah. No,
Oops.
I think we're good for the moment, but we should probably wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah, finish your point.
Entity Green, recorded by Jesus
Mm-hmm.
Hernandez, was actually the closest thing I've got to an outside person recording something. He recorded it, I produced it, I mixed it.
Yeah.
So I mixed Entity
okay.
Green, and because I feel like that's where it really comes in. Like recording, that's you can
It's
only
really
go.
just
You can
someone
only,
with equipment.
yeah, recording can only go so far to like changing the sound.
Yeah.
But when you go and like you throw as soon as you throw EQ on something, like it's like character. That's a personal choice. EQ.
Exactly.
So it's like I want to be there. In fact, I probably want to be the one doing it, so that even the producer can see it and they could be like, "Oh, this is how he's doing stuff." And to be quite frank, I'm like a naive mixer. I don't have the experience. I don't mix on Pro Tools. I mix on like Studio One.
It's hard to gain a deep understanding of mixing.
It
That's
is.
the most
It
difficult
takes a
thing to do.
lot of failing.
It does. It takes a lot of research too, because it takes a lot of education. There's a lot of niche tools and techniques that are used for different situations and different instruments. Like it's a whole shindig, and different genres. Like it's really intense. But I feel like my naivety for mixing has allowed that rawness to shine through, because
You think about that Car Seat Headrest album. You know, what is it? Twin Fantasy?
Yep, the original one.
Like he recorded it on Ableton on like $100 Windows computer.
okay,
And it's like the tone of Car Seat Headrest in that original album. People are literally obsessed with it.
that is like one of my favorite
And,
albums.
I'll have to
love
listen
that
to it.
fucking
It's
album.
actually, you remind me a lot of him.
really.
Yeah, it's
Especially
very
tonally.
similar. Yeah.
I think.
That-
That album's amazing. I love that album.
You've heard the remake?
Yeah, I like
Oh,
both of them.
Yeah, they're great, man.
Because you want people to, when they listen to your stuff, think that everything you're doing is a choice and not a necessity. Like, oh, this doesn't sound up to par because, like, he
Can't afford it
didn't
or
know
something.
how or something. And instead make it a choice. Like, oh, this sounds like an overloaded mic on purpose, which is like a lot of bands do that. Like early Ty Segall did that on purpose. And
Yeah,
it
even the
sounds
Strokes
awesome.
did that.
Strokes do it a lot. Like,
Shout out to the
yeah,
Strokes.
like that's a cool. It's a cool choice.
They
a cool
definitely need the
sound
shot.
Yeah.
to like come across. So you want everything to be a choice, but there are a bunch of people in Atlanta that will keep your authenticity with the mix, like that are unreal at doing it too. So
You
like
have any,
if you really like,
recommendations?
I do. I can give them to you off camera and stuff. Like,
Hey.
but,
Hey.
for real, like you just have to have faith and really put yourself out there, like emotionally, to have someone manipulate what you've done, which I understand because they're all like crafted by you. But there are people that can really punch this stuff up and make it unreal, which is what I want from you desperately, because the shit's great. Like, this shit's fucking
People are
got
tonal.
mad potential.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
People are
that.
tonal listeners. Like people like types of music because of certain tonescapes. And like I personally love the tonescape you're going for. And you could find a producer to make that times 50.
For
sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I think that's your fear, and I completely
is,
understand
yeah.
that because I
Tonescape is a good
understand what
it's a good word to describe that.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what you're going for,
It is,
and that's
yeah.
why I like your band.
Well, thank you.
You know, is that tone? It's
I
great.
appreciate it. And,
Also, you a fingerstyle player?
I
Do you use picks?
I generally don't use a pick.
Because I saw on which song did you just do that you'll
Take-
see after this episode?
Take time now.
Take time now. Yeah, you were doing fingerstyle,
Yeah,
kind
definitely.
of like Courtney Barnett style.
I definitely don't. I avoid using a pick. The only time I use a pick is if I'm doing like certain of the grunge songs from Entity Green that require
Yeah.
some like specific stringing.
Yeah, I don't think you can play a grunge
No,
pick, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be
All right, so yeah, let's go into flip it, forge it, or fuck it.
Okay.
You wanted to do
A flip it.
flip it.
I'm gonna flip it.
Flurp it.
And what was the song?
I'm gonna be flipping the Take Time Now from Archetypes, which is on Bandcamp. Yeah, it was one of the first singles I released from Archetypes onto YouTube, and it's on there right now. So feel free to listen to that for free.
So what makes this like a flip?
Well, I changed the lyrics. I had this phrase of lyrics that were actually I'm a carpet cleaner by day, and I was cleaning carpets, and this melody was just playing through my head. I had written it a minute ago, the lyrics, but I had only realized that it fits almost better with the chords of Take Time Now than the original lyrics do. Not that it's better or worse. I like it better. That's a personal thing, but I also like the original version of Take Time Now. But this is the flip it of
Cool.
Take Time Now.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, go check out Archetypes on Bandcamp, and 20 Hours just dropped on Spotify, Apple Music.
Yeah, and follow them on all the platforms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mass
absolutely.
Dopamine.
Mass Dopamine.
Mass Dopamine on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and Bandcamp.
No Twitter.
No Twitter.
Never Twitter.
Fuck Twitter.
Fuck you, Twitter.
We're only Mark Zuck. We're Zuckerbergers over here.
We're Zuckheads.
Sure, man. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
coming in.
Yes, thank you for
Doing
having
this.
me. This was great.
I enjoyed being
yeah.
here.
This was
Good
nice.
experience.
Pete,
Yeah, it was
co-hosting.
fun.
Yeah, shout out to Pete
Yeah,
for
good
co-hosting.
Thanks, dude.
David.
David.
Dave Burger.
David Berger. What's your name?
Chris.
Chris. Fucking shit.
It's not about us, man. It's about you.
Yep. All
It's about the mass dope.
Mass
Dopamine.
All right, guys.
Wondering why you can't sleep at night. Wondering why you can't seem to put up a fight. For the things you love, for the things you believe in. For the things you love, for the things you believe in. Wondering why you can't sleep at night. Wondering why you can't seem to put up a fight. For the things you love, for the things you believe in. For the things you love, for the things you believe in. Wondering why you can't sleep at night. Wondering why you can't seem to put up a fight. For the things you love, for the things you believe in. For the things you love, for the things you believe in.
Thank you.